Garcia, the alleged MS-13 gang member that the Democrats are so desperately trying to bring back into the United States. Well, the story just got a little bit darker. Court documents have surfaced showing that the innocent man, the quote-unquote Maryland man, once bragged he could kill his wife and no one can do anything to him. And that, my friends, is just the tip of the iceberg.
Turning to a news alert in the case of a Maryland man mistakenly deported from the U.S. to El Salvador. We have new details this morning as we're learning more about a second protective order Kilmar Abrego Garcia's wife filed against him as the fight continues to bring him home.
That is right. While the Democrats in Congress are treating this guy like some kind of martyr, newly uncovered court documents show he threatened to murder his wife, physically abused her, and left her with bruises and bleeding. But you won't hear that from CNN, will you? In August 2020, Jennifer Vasquez Suro, Abrego Garcia's wife, filed a protective order against her husband. In that document, she made a chilling claim. This is crazy. That Abrego Garcia told her mother-in-law that even if he kills her, no one can do anything to him.
Now, we talked about that second protective order. His wife, Jennifer, once again defending her husband after this other protective order has surfaced. In this one, dated August 2020, Vasquez accuses her husband of locking their children in a room, physically abusing her, and threatening to kill her.
This wasn't just a one-time incident. Suro filed another protective order in 2021 detailing patterns of physical abuse so severe that it left her with bruises and bleeding. This is the man that the Democrats are fighting to bring back to America?
The shocking case of Kilmar Abrego Garcia continues to divide America. In March of this year, the federal government deported the 29-year-old migrant despite a court order ruling that he could stay in the United States. Abrego Garcia was born in El Salvador, but is now a married Maryland resident who has legal permission to remain in the country with his wife and 3 children.
The 2020 protective order describes a terrifying incident where Abrego Garcia took his wife's phone, demanded her car keys, and flew into a rage when she refused. She tried to cook breakfast for the kids. He shut off the stove and locked the kids in the bedroom.
Now we have the latest on Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the Maryland man who was wrongfully deported to a prison in El Salvador. There's new fallout because after President Trump suggested he could get him back to the U.S. if he wanted to.
When Suro called 911, Abrego locked her out of the house. And when police finally arrived, he smashed her phone in front of the officers. This wasn't just a domestic violence dispute. This was a man who thought he was above the law.
He was deported to El Salvador last month and tossed into CICOT, the Central American country's brutal mega prison. ICE called it an administrative error at the time, and the Supreme Court later ruled he should be returned to the US. However, the government said they couldn't help as he's no longer on US soil, and Salvadorian President Nayib Bukele said he would not intervene.
In her filing, Suro wrote, "Me and my kids are afraid now. He kicked me. He pushed me, he slapped me in the face and threatened me." She also mentioned having photos of bruises he left on her body. This isn't a family man. This is not the family man. This is the quote-unquote Maryland man, the family man that the Democrats want to bring back to America.
Now, again, that was in August of 2020. A different protective order was filed a year later in 2021. It was after that order became public that Jennifer Vasquez said the couple sought counseling, and she decided not to follow through with civil actions. No charges were filed.
The court documents detail multiple incidents of violence spanning 4 years. In November 2019, she wrote that Abrego Garcia grabbed her by her hair in the car. This guy. And he did so again the next month and dragged her. He dragged her out of the car in the middle of the street.
You brought up El Salvador in your remarks. Have you been in touch with El Salvador about returning Abrego Garcia as a formal request from this administration could be?
Well, I would never tell you that. And you know who else I'll never tell? A judge. Because the conduct of our foreign policy belongs to the President of the United States and the executive branch, not some judge.
In January 2020, she claimed Abrego broke her son's tablet and damaged doors in her home. And in March 2020, he pushed me against the wall and broke my phone, a TV, and damaged the walls. This wasn't just one bad day. This is a pattern of escalating violence.
Since then, evidence has emerged which muddies the waters, suggesting he may have had criminal ties after all. Eric Fatis, a founding partner at Vardner Fatis Elite Legal, explains how this new information could affect his current imprisonment.
Despite all these disturbing allegations, Soro stood by Abrego Garcia and advocated for his return to the United States. 8 days after filing the 2020 protective order, she asked the court to rescind it, saying her son's birthday is coming up and Abrego had agreed to enter counseling. Girl, you got to get you a new man.
Robin, good morning to you. We know the Trump administration has been working closely with El Salvador on detaining migrants, but now we are learning the Secretary of State has been in contact with El Salvador about Kilmar Abrego Garcia.
This morning, new fallout over the fate of Kilmar Abrego Garcia, the man wrongfully deported to a notorious prison in El Salvador because of an administrative error.
But here's what's really going on here. The Democrats and their allies in Congress are using this particular case to attack Donald Trump and the Trump administration regarding their immigration policies. Seems like they don't care about the safety of American women and children. They care about scoring political points.
Now, in a letter to President Trump, Maryland Senator Chris Van Hollen says this is not about one man, but it is about the rule of law and due process. Van Hollen revealed that during his visit to El Salvador, the country's vice president told him they have no legal basis to hold Abrego Garcia or any of the other detainees, explaining, quote, "We have a deal with the U.S. government. They send people, we host them, they pay, and that's it."
President Trump has been clear. He could bring back Abrego Garcia if he wanted to, but he won't, because this is not the quote unquote innocent man, the Maryland man, the family man, the wonderful gentleman of Maryland. This man is an MS-13 tattooed guy who threatened to kill his wife and physically abused her for years.
During an Oval Office interview, President Trump said he could bring Abrego Garcia back, but won't because he, quote, is not an innocent, wonderful gentleman from Maryland. Trump also posting on Truth Social his belief that Mr. Abrego Garcia is a member of MS-13 and that he, the president, must be allowed to do his job.
Guys, this is what is at stake regarding the immigration debate. It's not about administration errors or due process. It's about keeping violent criminals out of our communities. The left can cry all they want about bringing back Abrego Garcia, but I think most Americans would agree. If you threaten to kill your wife and physically abuse her, you forfeited your right to stay in this country.
So in 2019, reports indicate that Mr. Garcia was outside of a Home Depot looking for day labor. He was with several other individuals. He is approached by law enforcement. Some reports indicate this was due to alleged loitering. Other reports indicate that it was due to sort of an immigration investigation and Mr. Garcia's alleged gang membership.
When the Democrats and leftist legacy media tell you that this is about due process, ask them why they're fighting so hard to bring back a man who bragged that he could kill his wife and get away with it. Let me know what you guys think about this. Drop it down in the comment section down below. Smash the like button if you kindly would. Share, subscribe. And as always, guys, I'll catch you on the next one.